Welcome to my Gumbo Life. My name is Alice Walker Beecham, and this is my YouTube channel, My Gumbo Life. In America, this is Black History Month, and I am sharing a story called The Quilters. I have a old piece of a quilt that my mom was working on, and my mom passed in 204. But I keep this piece that she was piecing together, the scraps she was piecing together, and I keep it in her cedar chest. So every so often I go and I take it out of the cedar chest and I smell it because it smells just like my mom smelled. And it's like still have a piece of her. So, for Black History Month, I'm going to be sharing some of my most favorite things in the world, and that's my writing. Everybody that know me know I love to write. I've been writing since I was 6 years old. Today, I'm going to share a essay called "The Quilters." The Quilters. When I was a little girl, I used to watch my mom spend hours cutting small pieces of fabric from old clothing. She called them scraps. At the time, it made no sense to cut up old clothes. After all, scraps were the leftovers that we threw out when we were finished eating. My mom wasn't the only one with this strange habit. Sometimes she and my aunties would get together and spend hours cutting and talking. I remember one summer, my mom took my sisters and brothers and I to my auntie house, and we stayed 2 days so she could help my auntie and her friends with this strange habit. I should have known back then that that was something really important because my mom never allowed us to stay overnight from home. And her staying away from home was unheard of. Once they had cut their scraps into different shapes, they would do something even stranger. They would start sewing them back together. They called this quilting. I do remember how happy the women seemed as they took four long poles and they connected them together in a rectangle shape. Then they hung it from the ceiling and they placed their piece scraps on those poles and pulled it tightly. And then they placed cotton between that on top of their piece scrap and put another piece on top of that. And then they start tacking them together with a long needle. I wasn't sure at the time why all this was going on, but I made up in my mind, even at that young age, that I was not going to do or be a person that went around cutting up small pieces of fabric from old rags to make something new. I would simply go to the store and buy me fresh new covering. That was over 40 years ago. And without knowing it at the time, I was learning lessons that would save my physical life and, most important, my spiritual soul. While at the time it seemed silly what they were doing, I now know they were not piecing scraps of fabric. They were peace and wisdom that now cover me in the quilt called life. When I listened closely, I could hear them talk about their men, children, how to keep a cake from falling, how to make a tea from herbs to heal a pain. As the day got later, you would often hear them start to hum an old gospel song. I never heard words, just humming. Mama used to say, when you hum, the devil doesn't know what you're talking about. All of those quilters are gone now. But the lessons I learned from them, I hope to pass on to my children. Life is simple. It's our desire to figure it out that makes it complicated. What those quilters knew was that no matter how old and tattered we feel, there is a peace worth saving. The journey of life can take you on some rough paths. Lovers can, and spouses will leave you. Children will make you cry, and death comes and creep and take the loved ones we love before we are ready to let them go. These things are the wearing of the fabric of life that gives us those special scraps to connect to all the other good pieces that will make the unique quilt called our life. I also learned that it is good to have friends that will be there to help you put together what is left after a storm and to make your life whole again. I learned that all women have some of the same concern. Men, children, what to make for dinner, and how to keep the one we love from pain. I also learned that sometimes you just need to hum where only a higher power know and understand. The quilters took the lessons that life taught them as they traveled through life, realizing that if we look hard enough, we can find something good in every tattered person. They are pieces that are to be connected to the other good pieces found along the way. We might have to cut them to fit, but fit it will. Take the thread called hope and use the long needle called faith and start piecing together the beautiful quilt called purpose. A long time ago, my ancestors created quilts and called them showway quilts. They called them this because they were hung outside to show the slaves the way to the north and freedom. This is what my mom and my aunties were doing. They were showing me the way. I must confess that I have a basket of fabric scrap, just as my mama and my aunties did. I pieced them together to make covering for people I love, in the hopes of covering them the way, of showing them the way. This makes perfect sense to me now. I know the importance of making something new from what we so often throw away. My greatest quilt will be the pieces I write, the art I created, the children I have given birth to, and the lives I touch with my coaching. I am proud to say I am piecing a showway quilt. You know, life has a way of making us all into quilters. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I will be sharing more of my writing this month for Black History Month. Please subscribe and share, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.